Would you like to play one of the coolest SNK bosses of all time after 20 years of being absent in an actual fighting game? Then look no further than Mr. Big in Fatal Fury, and in this video, which is actually sponsored by SNK, I'm gonna teach you with a guide how to play Mr. Big, going over his neutral, best options up close for pressure, and a full combo guide. So let's get into it. Okay, so how do we play neutral with Mr. Big? It's actually not that easy in comparison to maybe other characters, since he doesn't have a way to control the screen with fireballs, because his fireballs are mostly like for close range interactions. You are gonna need to either one, use the best buttons that he has in the mid range, like for example, far heavy punch is insanely big, is one of the biggest buttons with the biggest range in the game, so you need to use it when you are kind of like in that mid-range space in which, for example, maybe your opponent could press and you can win the interaction with the big range of your button. Then you also need to use your rep blows. Like both of the options for rep blow that Mr. Big has are actually really good. The one on the floor or on the ground is relatively big, it has a lot of range, and it's also like moving forward, it has forward momentum, so it can be quite strong. And then rep blow in the air is a dive kick, so it is essentially one of the best neutral skips that he has, and it can also of course make DPs transform into counter hits if they try to anti-air you and stuff like this. So it is a relatively strong tool that you need to use. Even though it can be potentially punished, it is one of the best neutral skips that Mr. Big has. And then you also have the other neutral skip in your special moves, but they are really minus on block. So if you want to use this, maybe use the EX version. The normal ones and the EX can give you actually full combos on counter hit, but they can be quite minus and punishable on block. So be wise about how you neutral skip with this character, because you can get punished hard if you do it incorrectly. And that's kind of like the simplest way to play neutral. Play that mid-range, space in which you shine the most with your buttons, with rep blow, and with the small options in which you can neutral skip. And then when you're up close is when things start to shine for Mr. Big. And then obviously you could also take a more defensive stance on the neutral with Mr. Big, taking into account that his neutral skip game plan can be a little bit unsafe. You can maybe just dash block a ton, and when you are on the range to press a big button, do it. Or you could also anti-air a lot. A lot of people do a lot of jump-ins in this game, and they can be quite weak if you know how to anti-air them consistently. And Mr. Big has relatively strong anti-airs. For example, his heavy DP is a big anti-air for a mid-range interaction because he dashes first when he does the DP. And then you also have your dodge attack anti-air for when people jump in on you, like right on top of your face, and you need to adapt the anti-air that you're going to use depending on the range in which you're getting jump in, because the heavy DP can whiff right up close, like on top of your face jump-ins, because it has that dash, right? So adapt your anti-air between your heavy DP and your dodge attack anti-air depending on the range in which you are getting jumped in by, and that can be the more defensive way to play neutral with Mr. Big. You anti-air someone, get a small anti-air combo, and then boom, you get in and have the opportunity to mix people up. And then of course you also have your fireballs, and they can work in neutral, but they are mostly like a mid-range check in the space in which your big buttons are not enough, and you're kind of like a little farther away, then the fireballs can work. And you do have a full screen fireball on your EX one, but you don't want to use your meter only using EX fireballs, to zone people out, because that's not how Mr. Big should be played. You're just gonna waste a ton of meter. So your fireballs are there, they are a tool, but I would argue they are not as strong as maybe other characters, and you should think of other things to win the neutral with instead of the fireballs. Okay, and now that we know what to do in neutral with Mr. Big, what do we do at the pressure level, on offense when it is our turn? And he has a lot of options. This is arguably one of the things that makes Mr. Big as strong as a character, because he can open you up in so many ways. So for example, he has really good frame traps. You can do close heavy punch into feint and then do another button because you're really plus and it works as a frame trap, or you can do feint into micro dash and grab people and create kind of like a throw loop situation if you think they're gonna block a ton, because you are plus enough to do it. Of course they can mash in between, but they need to guess if you're gonna do that or not. Then you also have command grabs in your special moves, and a super that works as a command grab and also as a DP. It's actually invincible, the command grab super, so they cannot just mash, they have to guess the command grab. And then you also have overhead low mix-up, because Mr. Big can actually convert any lights, into EXTP. So you can do a couple of lights from lows, right, and then do EXTP and you get a combo, or you can do overhead into a couple of lights because they connect naturally and do the EXTP. So Mr. Big has basically like a 5 mix-up layer when it comes to him being on top of you on offense, and this is arguably the strongest situation for the character. Like when he's on top of your face is when he's gonna shine, because he's probably going to open you up. And then the last thing that I would add to my arsenal on pressure is using close heavy kick, because this button is really plus on block. You can loop it, you can do, you know, close heavy kick, micro dash, and cancel it into another close heavy kick and be plus and plus again. So it is one of the best things about Mr. Big. Up close, it is an insanely good frame trap, and it can get you full combos both on normal and on counter hit, so you should be using also close HK a lot. And that would be essentially Mr. Vig's game plan. And now let's get into the full combo guide for the character to give you the BMBs that you need to start playing him. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing if it was useful to support the channel and to get maybe more collaborations with SNK on the future. Thanks again to them, and a big shout out to SNK for this opportunity, for sponsoring this guide, and enjoy the combo guide of course, and see you on the next one.